my introduction to Islam, and in many ways to Allah, was through fasting. Fasting is an amazing thing. It's a cleansing process. It can pinch and it can prickle, but that fulfillment is an incredible thing at the end of the fast. And our beloved Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, "Lis-sa'imi farhatan." The one who fasts has two moments of this like ecstasy, farha, when you're just elated and happy. One of them is when you break the fast. I'm looking at people's face now. Everyone knows exactly what that feels like. You know, it's funny as well because it's the fasting makes you incredibly introspective, almost like too much. So everybody becomes like very kind of like stoic in the daylight hours of Ramadan. It's like, I'm fasting. We all become like very serious about ourselves. And it's really important just to like embrace the month in a pace, because we don't want to be too serious about it. You know, this is a month of joy, of, you know, typically we don't celebrate through starving ourselves. But that's the point, as they say. It's one of the fasting is the feast of the awliya. What does that mean? It means that they really are aware and aligned to the reality of what's going on, the outpourings of what's taking place within the fast. So the sa'imi farhatan, the one who fasts, the one that withholds actively for the sake of God, they have two moments of bliss. One of them is when they break their fast, and the second is in the divine meeting, when they meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is incomparable. You know, think of our earthly, worldly, limited senses compared to the nature of the heart and the ecstasy and the bliss when it finally is unveiled by all of these distractions of the world. And I remember there were times when I was because I was living with my parents, I was still in my like mid-teens at the time, that I had to like sneak a bowl of Frosties up the night before. You know, you guys know what Frosties are. It's probably some health thing now. You can't have these kind of things. Like, you know, there's a big Kellogg's factory in Manchester, so maybe I'm not to blame for it, but we have all these kind of things that kids used to have in the mid-2000s. So I had a bowl of Frosties. And I think it wasn't very romantic. That's the thing. It wasn't the wonderful dates and the things, and it was just literally a functional breaking of the fast. And initially, I didn't know anything about it, so I just kind of set my alarm for about 9 a.m. Thought that'd be a reasonable attempt. You know, obviously the sun had already been up. I can't remember the time of year, but for a number of hours before. But just that experience of just stopping something, and the other thing, people can't see it, so you can't even like take a bit of a release for the ego, where it's like kind of like, I'm fasting. Nobody knows, nobody cares, especially the area where I was from. I remember we'd go for a movie, go to the cinema, and obviously as you know, as tradition holds, you get some drinks and you get some popcorn and this kind of thing. And I had to like do this. I can't remember. I hope I didn't lie. But it was very much bending the truth in those moments, saying that I wasn't hungry. Because I remember in those moments, like seeing like all of a sudden like the cheesy nachos and the, you know, we have a, you know, it looked very appealing, you know. And I'm watching this movie, like completely zoning out into this different realm of consciousness, thinking like, what is going on, you know? And then going back. But, you know, those moments when nobody knew I was Muslim were some of the sweetest moments, because, you know, in many of you want to get back to that place, you know, when it's only about Allah.